Hey everyone, yes, you read that title right. For the past week, thanks to Playground Games, I have had the incredible privilege of playing Forza Horizon 5. And now I get to share my experience and everything I've learned with you. Well, almost everything. There are a small handful of details I've been told to keep under wraps, but nonetheless, guys, I have so much to show you. In this video, I want to talk generally about the things in this week-long preview that stuck out to me the most, the moments or features that really blew me away or maybe even disappointed me, and then later we'll dive deeper into some more specific topics and hopefully answer some of your guys' questions. So stay tuned. Alright, let's start with the basics. Although I'm typically a PC player, this preview build was only available on the Xbox Series S and X. So the footage you are seeing today is all filmed on a Series S, and it's all filmed on performance mode. You do have the option, of course, to cut your frame rate down to 30 in exchange for some improved visuals, but honestly, the game still looks incredible here, and for a racing game, 60 FPS is absolutely the way to go. I did spend a bit of time with the higher graphics preset, and the lower frame rate admittedly still felt pretty smooth. The big differences I noticed were better anti-aliasing and better distant object detail, which is the one more noticeable downside of performance mode. But seriously, I didn't feel like I was sacrificing much by going with performance over visuals. Even compared to max settings on PC in Horizon 4, this game feels like a huge upgrade. The lighting is incredible. The cars look stunning and the environments are vibrant, dense, and detailed. And let's start here by talking about the environments and the map itself. This is the best map Horizon has ever made. Hands down, no question. Now, of course, we do know this is the biggest map yet in a Horizon game, but I didn't realize just how big it really felt until I spent this time in it. To give you some perspective, you've probably seen the winding tarmac road that leads up the volcano. It's the one I'm driving right now on screen. Well, starting from the bottom, it took me over 6 minutes to race to the top as fast as I could in the S1 class C8 Corvette. That stretch of road takes 6 minutes to drive in an S1 car. Touge fans should be overjoyed with this, because although I initially expected this road to be Needle Climb 2.0, and in a way it is, this road is actually much more geared for grip driving and racing than it is for drifting. And I think that's a good thing. This may not be the next Needle Climb, but it does feel kind of like a Fujimi Kaito Light, or a Pikes Peak is probably a more accurate example. But either way, it's an incredibly fun road to drive. I really hope there's a sprint race that takes place on it, so we can have some proper Touge Rivals challenges. Now, onto the highway. They said this was the biggest highway in Horizon, and they weren't joking. By timing a full run at constant speed and then doing a bit of math, the highway end to end comes out to be about 10 miles long, and it's much nicer to drive than Horizon 4's. Not only is the landmass itself much bigger in Horizon 5, but there are so many roads packed inside it as well. It's way more dense than any previous game. And the roads themselves are so much better. I've always felt that Horizon struggled to make good, fun, open-world roads, but they absolutely nailed it in Horizon 5. Getting around the open world is way more enjoyable, because the roads and corners all feel like they're pulled from real race circuits and mashed together into one big map. Whereas I feel previous games tried to make the roads more realistic, which honestly usually is much more boring. There's a much bigger variety here too, from tight corner single lane stuff to big open banked corners and high-speed sweepers. Every driving style, from rally to cross-country, track racing to drifting, is going to have plenty of good roads to pick from. My favorite area so far has gotta be the southwestern end of the map, with this huge bridge suspended high in the air. This section gives me huge Horizon 2 vibes, which is a very good thing. Now, I want to mention Guanajuato quick. I was initially worried that it might not be that enjoyable of a main city. but I've gotta say it has exceeded my expectations. It feels much more modern than I expected it to, but also it's just beautiful. It makes me really want to visit the real place. The tunnels are fun to drive through, there's some great spots for car meets and photography, the roads are really packed in tight, which is gonna make for some great racing, and in all, like the rest of the map, it just feels so much more dense and lived in. I will admit, I still think Surfer's Paradise is the best Horizon city and does feel more lively than Guanajuato, but Guanajuato isn't bad at all. It reminds me a lot of Horizon 2's Nice. The whole map actually feels a lot like Horizon 2 and 3 to me, while the festival site takes me right back to Horizon 1. Honestly, it feels like Horizon 5 has really learned from everything that has made the past games great, and then just put it all into this game and amped it up. Alright, let's talk car sounds. Another area where Horizon 5 has improved drastically. For starters, the base car sounds, at least from the 50 or so cars I've driven, are better across the board. Some more so than others, but again, every sound in this game, at least from what I've driven, is improved. And to top that off, the fact that mods like intakes, exhausts, turbos, and cams now change the car sounds is massive. One of the biggest aspects of upgrading and modding real cars is getting them to sound better, and until now, that's been missing from Horizon. I've now found myself focusing so much more on the exhaust note when I build my cars, finding the perfect combo of parts to get the sound I want. It's fantastic and possibly my favorite new feature so far from Horizon 5. I'm actually going to take a break here for a second and just let you hear me messing around with one of the car's sounds. I mean, come on, you can't tell me that's not a huge improvement from Horizon 4. But honestly, that might not even be the best upgrade to the car sounds, because they did some huge behind the scenes work to improve everything you hear in the car. There's so much more detail in things like the tire sounds, up and down shifting, acceleration on different road surfaces, idle sounds, and low versus high revs. The audio experience as a whole feels way more full and natural. And I'll take an aside here as well to say that the other cars you run into on the road also sound way better. The world itself sounds so good too. They spent a lot of time on just the ambient background noise of Mexico, and it shows. This game's audio as a whole is an incredible step up, and something I constantly notice and appreciate while playing. Alright, now let's talk about the car handling and all these new parts we got. So, Playground mentioned big overhauls to tire physics, brakes, and suspension, and it shows. Cars feel a bit more weighty and also more stable and controlled. The handling as a whole is, for lack of a better word, much tighter or more precise. I've found myself making a lot less corrections while cornering, for example. It's a lot easier to just set a proper braking distance, turn in, and stay locked into the corner without having to make a bunch of little joystick adjustments to stay on a good racing line. And brakes across the board feel much better too. You seem to be rewarded more for braking straight, and it's way easier to trail brake. These improvements have, funny enough, led to the cars feeling a bit slower. For example, I think an S1 900 PI car in Horizon 5 handles as easily as maybe an 850 PI car in Horizon 4. And let me be clear, this is absolutely a positive change. I think S2 cars in Horizon 4 were a bit too fast for the average player, so these handling updates should hopefully help to make the faster classes feel less chaotic, especially in online. The other element to these handling improvements is all the new parts you can throw on. Specifically, the new tires, transmissions, and differentials. We now have the ability to increase the amount of gears in race transmissions. We have options for semi-slick and slick race tires, which feel so much more grippy than previous games' just standard race tires. And on top of that, having dedicated drift and off-road tires helps those driving styles feel way more dialed in. There's off-road and drift differentials now too. These work similarly to the race, drift, and rally suspensions by telling the game what you want the car to be for and allowing it to adjust some behind-the-scenes physics to improve handling in that driving style. It's a super smart and very effective change that lets you purpose-build cars much more effectively. Alright guys, so to wrap this video up, I'm just going to quick fire a few more improvements I noticed that I feel are very worth mentioning. For one, the tire smoke. It's so much better. Drift cars burn some serious rubber now. I cannot wait to see full tandem trains in Horizon 5. It's gonna be wild. Next, the Horizon stories. They did talk about this on the latest Let's Go, but the stories are good now, at least from the few chapters I was able to play. They actually progress through each chapter, there's choices to be made, the fact that your character talks does actually add a lot to the experience and make the interactions feel more natural. I'm actually very excited to see what stories they bring into this game. I'm excited to be invested in Horizon stories. Finally, I want to talk about the UI. A lot of menus feel quicker and better organized, but my one big issue is with the car select screen. You see way less cars on the screen now, and they still haven't added any sort of car tagging system, so it looks like favorites is still going to be the only way to sort your cars again. But hey, given how much Horizon 4 changed post-launch, there's always hope, right? Alright folks, that is going to do it for this video, but I have one big question for you, and that is, what questions do you have for me? Anything from big features to small UI tweaks, let me know what you guys are wondering about in Horizon 5, and I'm going to compile it all and make a video where I can hopefully answer your questions and provide footage where possible. I recorded just about all of my gameplay, so hopefully if I have an answer, I will have footage to back it up. One thing to remember is that this was a preview build. Without many of the online features enabled, it was limited to 2 seasons, and we could only get so far in the main story before it actually just reset the whole game. So I probably won't be able to answer any questions about late game or online content. Either way, let me know your questions in the comments. Thanks everyone for watching. Much more Horizon 5 content is coming soon, so stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.